Hey guys, it's Tasha.
And it's Amy.
Welcome back to another episode of Simple Soul.
Yeah, we are excited about this
We are.
particular podcast. We have alluded to this over the last few months, and today's the day that we are going to venture to actually talk about social media addiction.
The good of social media, the bad of social media, and maybe even the ugly of social media. So let's get started.
Yeah.
Are you addicted to social media?
Well, that was the question I was just about to ask you. So, define addicted. What would that classify as?
So in my mind, and in the readings that I've read, so I'm going to kind of put them all together. An addiction is something that has a substantial negative effect or a very significant negative effect on your life.
Okay.
Okay.
So, my answer would be today, at where I'm at today, my answer would be no. A few years ago, I think I probably could have said that I had addictive-like behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
But today, my answer would be no, I'm not addicted to social media.
Okay, good to know.
But social media, maybe we should classify what we're talking about for social media. So in social media, my mind is like thinking Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter.
Really any platform that you can interact with somebody else. So it could even be through gaming platforms.
Okay, but let me ask you this, because I do, however, turn on my computer often to look at blogs, to look at literature, to look at, I'm very much connected all the time. I have shifted my addictive-like behaviors from seeing what's going on with everybody else to wanting to learn about things.
Yeah, so no more the media piece.
Yeah, probably.
Right, the learning platform piece.
Yeah.
So if you were to ask me if I was addicted to social media, I would say probably not addicted. There's not a significant impact on my life. Negative impact on my life, but I would say I have addictive-like tendencies at times.
Okay, so I feel like we're both kind of circling around this topic. So continuum of, like, I have to check it multiple times a day, social media, and I'm going to say Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all those platforms that most people, not most, but a lot of people are connected to, versus I don't even turn them on and I don't even think about what could possibly be out there on those platforms daily.
Mm-hmm. I'm somewhere in the middle. And I think it just depends on your purpose, too. I don't open up Facebook or my Snapchat or my Instagram just to surf during the day or just to browse. But I can use today as a great example. There's things going on in my family.
Sorry, there's a fly.
There's bugs, gnats, all over the place.
And I'm sprayed.
There's significant things going on in our family. So we are using a social media platform, Snapchat, to communicate with my siblings around that issue, but I'm not there trying to figure out what I'm missing or what I'm not missing or who's doing what over the weekend or any of those sorts of things. I'm just using it to communicate.
Okay, so in true confession then, I guess I text often and I Vox often. So maybe when you're saying those things, I do stay connected even for goofy things sometimes throughout the day, or it's definitely not like I don't get on Facebook to browse or get on Twitter to browse very often.
Yeah.
And I don't even think about what's out there or what people post. Like, it doesn't even cross my mind, and maybe that's bad too.
I don't know. I think in the articles that I read, when they talk about addiction, and I would say what we're talking about really is an addiction. What they're talking about are when it goes away, are you angry? Like, are you having a meltdown or anxiety because you can't access that social media platform? When you're not there, are you thinking about what might be there, what you might be missing? Or are you thinking about the next time you do access a device, what you might want to do on that social media platform? What am I going to post? Is that constantly your thought? Like, oh, I've got to go post this right now because it happened here and I need to go post. If you're constantly thinking about those things, those would be those addictive-like tendencies that probably are a red flag.
Right, yeah.
But I don't think that's the way we're describing ourselves right now.
Right, so either we really aren't addicted or we're really living in a lie.
Yeah,
because we did talk about everybody lies. And so I guess in my heart of hearts, I really don't believe I'm addicted to social media in that venue. I'm absolutely connected and probably addicted to being connected to something, but it's typically because I want to learn about something, or if you have a vacation coming up, I'm so excited to read all the blogs,
right.
or If there's something I'm interested in, I want
Want to learn.
and I have to learn fully. I can't just read an article.
Right.
I have to read 50 million articles to fully understand what I'm learning. So maybe I am addicted in other ways to those kind of things, but to just see who posted what and who's going where and who's doing what, that doesn't, I don't know that I need to be connected to
So
that.
what you're talking about, though, are some of the really cool things about media and social media and technology, about being able to learn.
Yeah.
There are articles and research out there to show that with the advances in technology, we are actually increasing our IQ because we are able to access so much more information when we want it, when we're curious, when it's relevant.
Yeah.
We get to go learn.
That is cool. And, I think about, we were talking about this earlier a little bit, the size of your device is how intimate the conversation is, right? So the smaller the device, the more willing you are to take risks or whatever. So it could be a negative, but I think what you're saying is it's actually a positive, because I also think about in the sense of, if I want to know something and I'm honestly at a stoplight, I can pull my phone out and I can be looking it up, and I will know my answer before the light turns green.
Right.
Like back in the day growing up, I'd have to wait till I got home, and if I remembered, I'd get a Webster dictionary out. And now we have Alexa in our house, and Alexa can answer the boys' questions. I don't even have to parent anymore, honestly.
Alexa, where are my shoes?
Kinda. But really, truly, my kids will ask me stuff in the morning when we're getting ready, and it's always at the most inopportune time, and I'm always forever saying, oh, we'll look it up tonight. We'll Google it tonight. But now it's like, I think that's a great question, buddy. Let's ask Alexa to see what she has to say.
Right.
So I think technology can be really cool. I do think there's a huge learning component to it, and everything is out there to learn from. My caveat to that would be, is it's only as good as the person who produced the article.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think sometimes people think because they found it on Google or Wikipedia or online that it's a reliable source. And my response back would be careful about what you take as the truth, because it's only anybody. I can post 50 things online tonight if I want for articles, and it's only as good as my knowledge and the research I did behind it. So
So what other positives are there of media, social media? What do you think?
What do you think?
Well, I think one of the biggest positives for me, and this is why one of the reasons I joined my first social media platform, was because I could stay connected with my friends in another country. And so I think culturally we can stay connected.
Yeah.
We can see what's going on in other countries, in other states, with family, friends, whoever it is, and just have that connection that we didn't have before. Yeah. So I think that's a real plus.
I agree. And I think the older you get, the people that you can reconnect with, that maybe you really enjoyed at some point in your life, but it's been however many years later, you have that opportunity to see what their life is all about. It's like the door opening into their world. I think that's really cool too.
There's one other positive that I think can be positive sometimes, but can also be negative at times, is that we can use the social media platforms to push out information around critical issues in our community, in our states, in our wherever, right? It can be really awesome because I can get a lot of information quickly, but it can also be really negative as well if the thread of comments and posts are negative. And again, the information is only as good as that person's knowledge that posted. So just keeping in mind that it's somebody's perspective, but it's an opportunity to see and learn other people's perspectives too.
So what would be some warning signs if you're sitting here thinking, yeah, I don't think I'm addicted. I don't know if I have addictive-like behaviors, because really when we talk about addiction, we're talking about stimulating the pleasure system in the brain, right? And we won't really get into the dopamine and all the pieces that fall into that piece of the brain, but there is definitely a true part of the brain that does get pleasure or angry in one way, shape, or another. I mean, because the reality is sometimes we're on social media or we're connected to things that when we're done, we actually find ourselves to be more irritated than we were when we went on it. Right? Because we read something or we saw something, or we maybe felt like people weren't being authentic when they posted something. So what would be some true addictions, would you say?
Well, I know one warning sign, which I'm guilty of, is my cell phone gets plugged in on my nightstand.
Yep.
And so that is something I know I need to work on changing. And I can give you every excuse as to why that's there. It's my alarm clock. I read books on my phone, so I read to go to bed, so that's why it's there, but really none of those are good enough excuses.
Yep.
It really should go away. That would be a red flag. If your phone's coming to bed with you, if you're falling asleep with your device, your phone, your iPad, whatever it is, in your hands, if the last thing you see before you go to bed is your device, that might be a red flag.
Yeah. How about waking up with it. If you wake up with your device and you're checking your device before you're talking to somebody in your household, whether it's a significant other that possibly may share a bed with you, or whether you're talking to your kids, whether you're physically getting out of bed to see the world, to hear the birds, to look at the sunshine,
Right.
and the first thing you're doing is you're on some platform,
Right.
that might be another early warning sign of addictive like behaviors or a true addiction.
Right. Yeah. I think another thing to be mindful of is if you're spending your free time, most of your free time, somewhere up to like 2/3 of your free time on a device or on social media, that's a red flag.
Yeah.
That's a
Or if
pretty
you're with other people
yeah.
and you have to see what's going on elsewhere, that's a red flag.
So there's a little term for this too. It's
Yes.
called FOMO, feeling of missing out, right? So
Yep.
if you are, I love this, if you're sitting in a restaurant or you're out with friends or you're with your family and your phone sends a notification, or you just, without even a notification, you pick up your phone and swipe, it's like this idea that you have this feeling that you're missing out on something, but really what you're missing out on is this interaction or this activity or this moment. And unfortunately, the quick pleasure that you get from seeing that notification or seeing what's on that social media account that you now know about isn't near as emotionally fulfilling as this contact right here.
Yeah, so here's the exact quote
Okay.
from some of the experts. Some experts see the rise in depression as evidence that the connections social media users form electronically are less emotionally satisfying, leaving them feeling socially isolated. So I think there's multiple layers here or levels of it, and I think it's the person who is home looking at what everybody else is doing, feeling like they don't have any commitments or friends or plans, and so they become more and more isolated if they've already felt a little isolated.
Right.
And then I think there's the situations where you're in a group setting and people are still connected to what other people are doing on Saturday night, when really you're missing the moment to enjoy the people that you're truly with, because you're more interested in people that you don't even really care about and what they're doing than the people that you're with. So, and that's been something over the years that I've had to come to reality with myself, is I really want to stay connected to the people that I really want to be connected to, because there's so many awesome people in my life that I want to make sure that I'm filling up the little bit of free time I have with people who are filling my cup up, not with people who give me negative energy. So it's like, I think when you're connected to social media, when you're with the people you care about, it sends a bad message, even though I think it's unintentional.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the dangers of all these devices, and I'm guilty too, I have, my text messages come through my wrist here, and I have many friends that have watches that they can answer their phone, or they can see their email or text messages right there. I think we got to be careful about that too, because we're not pulling our phone out anymore. Now it's just a flick of your wrist, and you're looking at all these text messages. And I was just with a friend the other day, and I finally said, "What's going on?" And they were looking at their email, but I was feeling like they weren't present in the conversation. And so I think it's safe to call somebody out on that, and it's safe to reflect if you're somebody that does it, because I find myself pausing too and looking at my watch. So just being mindful that you're not letting that moment slip.
And I think it's okay too. You know, I've got a watch that comes through too. I think it's okay to notice that, because I would on my phone.
Right.
Where I think it becomes a hindrance though is, like you said, you're having a conversation with somebody and you have to stop and say, what's going on over there? Because it feels like this is more important right now than what we're talking about. And maybe it is. And maybe it is. And maybe you need to deal with that.
And
then
that's
tell me time out. I got to go take care of this. And then come back together.
I agree. So just being mindful of all those things.
Yeah.
For sure. Okay, so there are a lot of things that we do on our phones. So I'm going to have a little caveat, because I think we have to be careful to say that all this is bad.
Oh,
there are a lot of things that we do on devices now that we've always done. So it's not a generational thing. I want to be really clear. Although the younger generations do tend to use technology more, but I shop online.
Yep, I shop online.
I used to go to the store. Now I do it online. So I'm still doing the same activity. I'm doing it online.
I do both, which is doubly bad.
It is.
For the checkbook,
for all of it.
For UPS, for Amazon, for everybody else involved.
We read books. Now we get them on devices. We can get them hard copy. We can listen to books. We can live stream music and videos on our tablets, on our devices. So,
I used to go to the library to check out articles, to do research.
Now I do it on my phone.
Click, right?
Yeah, so those are still some things that we've always done that now we just we're maybe a little bit more efficient with on our devices, which are okay things too.
Yeah.
And again, just being mindful that those are not becoming overbearing in your lives, right? That I'm not always sitting on my phone, but I'm saying I'm reading a book because, well, I might be, but
right.
I might also be doing other things on my phone at the same time. So.
And I have found that reading a book on a device, especially one that can alert me to other things, is unsuccessful for me. I have to physically put my phone in another room, go get a hard book and read, because otherwise if you're reading a book and a notification comes through, it's like squirrel.
Right.
I'm moved on to my notification and I forgot what I was even doing, and I'm missing the moments in my life to really be present in the book that I'm reading.
So what are some tips? What are some things that we can think about when we think in general about social media, whether you feel like you're addicted or not addicted?
Okay, so before we go to tips, though, I'd want to, because I have a feeling if we go to tips, we're wrapping up. I got something I want to talk about.
Okay.
Oh, it's really good. It's so good. It's slipping my mind. I know what I want to say, but I can't remember the piece that goes with it. So, like the motivation behind posting why you post. It makes people feel bad on both sides of it.
Okay, so
right?
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about this. So, when you see a post, when we're on social media, what do we typically post?
Positives,
right? So
I'm not going to post screaming at my kids and my kid bawling.
Right.
Like,
I'm going to send that privately to somebody so we can laugh about it later, but I'm not going to probably put it out there for public.
Yes.
But I think what I found really interesting about this was that is difficult for both people. If I'm posting only positive things and you're viewing all my positive things, you're probably thinking, oh my gosh, she's got it together. You might be jealous. You might actually dislike me over time, or you might want to be like me, depending on your mindset.
Yep.
But for the person behind the computer that's posting those things, that can be really damaging as well. Because now I put up this perfect image for everybody to see, and what happens when I fail in real life, or when I slip, or when they stop by and my house isn't as clean, or my kids aren't dressed as nice, or whatever it is.
The perfect life, yeah.
That kind of that fear of being discovered as this fraud. So just being mindful. I think it just comes down to being mindful.
Well, and I get kind of strung out sometimes because I used to feel like I had a good grasp of when I should post and when I shouldn't, but now I think I overthink it all the time, and I think if I really want people to see it, I should just share it in a text message to people that I really want to see it, because my social media page has a lot of people that I really care about, but it also has people that I don't know very well, like maybe through other outlets or friends of friends or whatever. Right. So I don't know. I think people are motivated to post what they post for whatever reason they're posting it, and I think some people have some true motivations of wanting to look perfect all the time. Yeah. And so I'm just going to only post the perfect pictures and make sure I get a picture of my kids, but you're going to see my house and my vehicle and my boat and everything else in the background versus really the picture of the kid. I think there's some motivation. I think there's some insecurities there, why people do what they do. But then sometimes I think, I have a really good thing I'd like to post that I thought about posting today that was really cool that happened to my son. Yeah. But yet I'm teetering like, why am I posting that? Why am I posting that? Am I posting it because I'm really proud? And is it okay that I post because I'm just a proud mom at this moment? Or should I not be posting? Or am I just overthinking it?
I think some of that you're overthinking.
Probably.
Because I think we would all be really proud of your son. Yeah. I mean, I think we all would be really proud. But I think when it's like the intentional, like you had said, I'm going to pose just right. Yeah. So I can have that image of my house or that image of my new car or whatever it is in the background. And again, it's damaging for both people. And nobody might even know it. The other thing, too, we got to be careful of our sly comments that really attack people online. And that, I agree. That is really harmful, right?
It's the passive-aggressive.
Like the comments that only the people that know about it are going to understand it, and it's going to hurt their feelings, and yet nobody else will understand it.
And so you're all commenting on it.
Right.
Yes, I agree with that.
I think it's just a matter of being kind and knowing what your intentions are. If your intentions are pure and innocent, then let's celebrate. Right. And if there's, if in the back of your mind it's like, oh, I want to show off this, or I want to be perfect in this picture, if that's what you need, hey, that's you. I don't know. I just feel like it can be damaging for both people. Just
okay, so now we can go to tips and tricks.
Although...
Oh, you got more.
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
I do.
Yep.
Because I think when we think about kids, and we start to think about where they're at in their lives.
Yeah. Yes.
And if they're constantly behind social media platforms, engaging in conversations or whatever it is they're doing, that sometimes we jump right away to this generation has an addiction to social media or to technology. But wondering if we need to be thoughtful about the kid that just has social anxiety. And so at school, they're anxious all day to communicate. But at home, when they sit behind this device, they feel comfortable communicating. Or let's say they don't have a group of friends at school, but when they come home, they can communicate with a group of friends from a different town, or maybe an athletic event or social club that they are friends with, but they don't have access to at school. So maybe just asking more questions about why they're on the platforms as often as they are, instead of assuming that it's an addiction and taking that away. Because if we take that connection away,
yeah, for sure,
then we've got no connection.
But I think there's a fine line too,
Yeah.
because I think there has to be boundaries, and I think you have to teach your kids how to appropriately use. And our coworker said to us, and we'll share this person's perspective, and I think he's spot on when he said, you wouldn't give a kid, I hope I don't mess up what he said exactly, but this was the gist of it.
You wouldn't walk in and hand your kid
keys to the car.
keys to the car.
So why would you hand them a device without educating them and taking them through multiple trial runs before you allow them to be free on that device? And I think parents are so afraid, or I hear parents all the time say, I don't even do half that stuff. Okay, well then, if you don't and your kid is,
right,
I caution you a little bit to either read and learn or engage in it with your child so you can learn it together. Because kids are learning fast, and we've got to learn fast with them, because we need to know what games they're playing. We need to know what chat rooms they're in. We need to know, what they're doing on Snapchat. Because honestly, my kids don't always know what's appropriate.
Right.
I have to teach them, because they don't even know how to sit down and have this kind of dialogue at young ages.
Yep.
They certainly aren't going to know how to do it with a device.
Right. So one way to get started there is to talk to your kiddo about it, and also keep your devices in a central room in your kitchen, which I'm guilty of.
And put passwords on them, so they can't get on without you, so you monitor.
And I'm guilty. I mean, my kiddos love Musical.ly.
Yep.
Right? So they're up in their bedrooms shooting Musical.lys all the time. So they're not in that central location. One safeguard is I have their account on my phone. So I see every like, I see every post, I see every follower. I see it all right there on my device. So however you can be in touch with their accounts so that you can monitor. Chances are they're not doing it ill-intentionally, but
they just
things
don't
are
know.
coming upon them that they're not even sure how to navigate. So teaching them.
Well, the other thing, too, is I think kids need to understand that even if they buy the device with their own money, it's still in your house.
Right.
And at any given time, when I say hand over a device, I can see what somebody's doing. And that is the norm that we have in our house. Devices are not kept in bedrooms overnight. They are kept in a central location. And I'm with you. I think we sometimes set timers, because honestly, I'm guilty of that. You turn around, it's like, has it really been an hour already? Like, what did we get done in an hour?
Right.
I got nothing done but looking at people's posts, and the kids are doing who knows what, because I'm disengaged with my kids, because I'm engaged in my own learning.
And if we can't exercise self-control, we know kiddos can't.
Yes.
So helping them along all ages exercise self-control when it comes to social media. Setting a timer, setting boundaries, setting limits.
Yep.
All those things.
And remember that kids don't know any different.
Yeah.
They want to be in the chat rooms, and they think that if the person's name is Amy, it really is Amy.
Yeah.
They don't understand that there's a million Amy's across the whole world that could be looking for different intentions than what I might be looking for if I friend you.
I was really proud of my daughter this morning. She wanted to change her profile picture in her Musical.ly, and I hesitated. And I said, all right, just your sisters, they share an account, 2 sisters, just your faces. And Brinley says, yep, no problem. She says, I actually changed my shirt because it had our school logo on it. And I didn't want the school logo in the picture. I thought, yay, I taught her something. So even just those little tips, like if you're going to take pictures, make sure your name's not on there. Make sure your logo.
Your back design isn't giving indications of where you could be.
So talking to your kids about all those things.
Yeah.
Helping them regulate the time that they spend is important. And then this is the hard one, and you alluded to it. Modeling that for them. Modeling restraint.
It is hard. It's really hard. And I tell you what's even harder is my kids say to me often, put your phone down when you're driving. Because the phone rings, I pick it up, or I voice text or whatever. And I would like to say, but I'm just using Vox, or I can put my hand and talk at the same time.
But they don't know any different.
It's not. And all I'm doing is teaching my children that when you get in a vehicle, you speed. You drive way too fast, and you're on your phone.
Yeah, so modeling it's really difficult.
Shut the radio off and have a conversation.
Yeah.
Or turn the radio on and jam out with your kids if your kids no longer want to talk to you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So,
and I think the last thing that I read over and over and over about was the hour before bed, having a device free.
Yeah.
Because,
for adults too.
Yeah.
All the above.
Right, because of the effect on sleep.
Yep.
So.
Yep, there's a ton of research out there. If you're curious, if you wonder why you can't fall asleep at night or your children can't fall asleep at night, they even talk about TV. Mm-hmm. And I can tell you that I can say this, but it's really hard at our house.
Agreed.
I mean, it is really hard. Mm-hmm. We have tried multiple things from shutting down 15 minutes earlier to trying mindfulness practices to laying in bed reading books, and it's hard. Mm-hmm. It's really hard.
Yeah, it is.
And sometimes when I get home at night, I just want to disconnect and I want to get lost in something online.
Yeah.
And I'm guilty of it too.
Yeah, I am too. I think we all are, and I think it's an okay thing. We've got to find balance.
Yes.
And you've got to recognize it first.
And when your kids call you out, that was the other addiction, is you're defensive when somebody tells you to put your phone away. You get defensive.
Yeah.
So I think when your kids call you out, it's time to pick up that mirror, have a little self-reflection and say,
yeah,
they don't get it. I'm in the middle of something right now, but they don't need to get it. They're right. I need to put it away until they go to bed.
So if you forget your phone at home by accident and you get to work, if you have to run home to get it, that might be another warning sign. Challenge yourself sometime to leave it at home.
Okay, but
I know.
Yeah, but
I know.
Here's my response to that. I get a lot of calls through work.
I know.
All day. It's hard.
It is hard.
I have forgotten my phone before, and I have felt naked.
Yeah, you don't live too far.
I don't. But if I live far, I would probably have to leave it.
I've left it a few times.
So, okay, so focus on balance.
Yep.
Right? Balance. Really focus on balance. Balance with your family, balance with kids, balance with putting the phones away and going on bike rides, balance with doing other things beyond technology.
Yep.
Turn off notifications.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't talk a lot about this, but it really talks about how app developers are getting a lot more aggressive with the notifications. They now have noises. They're red, not blue. Mm-hmm. I mean, some of the things that our app developers are doing to really get your attention. And think about it, because when you see your app pop up and you see that number 7 blaring at you, are you most likely to click on it to see what those 7 mean or not? I don't know.
And some of those notifications might not even be relevant.
Right.
They're getting you to look at the app just to get your brain
because
moving
somebody
again.
else might have commented on something that you that somebody else posted that has nothing to do with you, but then you're in it.
Right.
So teach mindfulness, use the social media.
Yeah. We've talked a lot about that.
Yeah, we can't say enough about that. Model restraint and balance in your own social media diet or media diet. We talked about that as well. Phone-free dinners.
That's a good challenge.
Oh, geez, yes. Phone-free time before sleep, it says. Enforce no smartphones, and I'm going to even go to say electronics in the bedroom after a specific time and overnight. Use an old-fashioned alarm clock to wake up, it says. Yeah. That's what the research shows.
There's my goal tomorrow.
Yeah, so I did go out and buy a new alarm clock. I've never had my phone in bed at night. I always leave it in the other room, and it's basically because my husband brings his to bed for work, and it goes off all hours of the night, and it interrupts our sleep pattern, and I don't want 2 phones going off because we barely get to sleep through the night with one. So, but we do use an alarm clock to wake up, and I debated getting one that my phone would charge on, and I didn't. I didn't. And at 9 o'clock or 9:30, I always plug my phone in the kitchen and I walk away from it because that's really time to sit down and read a book. And if I don't force myself to do that, it's so easy to lay in bed and just waste an hour.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I agree. I know.
So, anyways, there we have it.
All right. So, well, thanks for tuning in. Head on over to iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or wherever you download our podcast.
YouTube.
And
or watch us.
Rate us and review.
Yeah.
Until next time.
Love your simple soul.